new life. So the first four steps are: study and acquire knowledge of the self and the non-self. That is, first step is Jnana Yoga. The second yoga is Karma Yoga plus Jnana Yoga. How to do karma in my professional, social, and family life. But what happens when you accumulate, you start doing the karma in your daily life? We accumulate lot of impressions. Sometime I get angry, sometime I am pleasing someone. So impressions are created. So there, the third step is all about bhakti yoga. We devote all the karma to the God or the existence. And the fourth step is how to manage those desires that comes to our daily life. That is what is all about the first four steps. They are easy steps to be done, but we should have a clarity that what we are doing and how we are doing. Whether we are doing karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga, all these have to be a foundational steps in the beginning of a journey of self-discovery. Why it is so? It is because the problems and the challenges are coming from the world outside, 90%. And that affects my mind, my life, my daily activities. So, we start with understanding first Shravanam. I don't know, let me know it. That's what I have been talking a lot. Second is, I don't understand, let me understand it clearly. And I don't practice, so let me practice. So, fourth step is also there, but I don't change, so I go back from the first step. Again, I revisit the principle and check it. Am I incorporating those steps in my life in order to bring about a change in my life? That is known as samadhi. That is also known as samadhi. Now, first step. So, again, we understand the study and understanding of the subjective reality and the objective reality. We keep it side by side, we keep it together. The moment I think, speak, and act all about the objective reality, the moment I am absorbed into meditation, it is all about subjective reality. So, here, first thing first, the master says tat karma yanna bandhaya sa vidya ya vimuktaye ayasaya param karma vidyanya shilpain punam. So we should be 100% clear. The action is that action which does not promote attachment. Any karma that we do in our family, in our social life, in our family life, it should not create any attachment. You come to me to learn, I should not be attached. You refuse, I should not be attached. So, Can I live into that state of the mind? In the same thing happens in the business. Your mind says, this guy will definitely give me a contract and I will have $1 million. So I focus on the karma. Leave the ego, leave the fruits of an action. I focus on the karma, right karma. We should understand what is karma. I think we have already understood what is karma in the previous talks and understanding. So this is one of the great verses. He says that every karma is the real karma that does not promote attachment. First thing. And knowledge is that knowledge which liberates me from suffering. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. All other action is also required. Now see that. Why? All other actions are pointless, but they are required in life, in the material and the worldly life. But it should also not cause any kind of an attachment. So from the day one, we are free. Mind, thinking mind. I will ask, let me have, can you give me a cup of tea? No, I'm not interested. I'm upset with you. Thank you very much. It doesn't affect me, my family life. So I'm ready to take over that action myself and I prepare the cup of tea for myself. I don't get upset. So other actions has to be understood clearly. The other knowledge has also to be understood. In 1996, I was in Indonesia. First time I was exposed to the computer in the embassy. I was a cultural secretary to the ambassador. So my master always told me that you should also acquire skills, expertise. And I bought two computers, and since then I have been using it. So progressively, gradually. So this is the other knowledge. The knowledge that helps me to gain skills, expertise by which I can follow the path of my profession. Two types of knowledge. One knowledge is of the self that liberates me from the uh, from the suffering, and the other knowledge I should also acquire. So normally, what we have a wrong perception in the world: a monk should not do other activities. Why he should not do other activities? I saw my master. There are 100 people sitting in the dining hall, and he used to cook the bread, and he was so perfect. The 100 people are sitting, and he cooks the bread and he throw it. Oh, you don't have it. And it normally falls into the plate of that master. I don't have that skill set. I must agree. I don't have. Another part that we used to have hundreds of articles for donating to the different monks in the Himalayas, and whatever the donation used to come to him, it was, he had, I would say, what is say that you say that photogenic memory. That guy last week came, brought 100 pairs of socks. The another guy brought 200 pairs of sweaters, 100 bags of rice. It happened before me, but I could not remember. He used to tell me to write it, but he could remember those things. So, the journey of the self discovery does not mean that we should not acquire the skills and expertise in other things outside. But we should remember that this knowledge gives me expertise, the skill sets. This knowledge is not going to help me in self discovery. So, we have two types of a knowledge. That is the foundation. That is the foundation. The knowledge we should acquire the knowledge. That is part of the Gyan Yoga. The knowledge that helps us to gain skills to use in the family, professional, social lives. It helps my outer life of family, profession, society uh, harmonious, better. I have one wonderful friend and a student in India. He has been doing regularly. His wife always opens the computer for him. Why? Because he doesn't have the skill sets. And he is a number one businessman. He is doing a cloth business, wholesale. So we will understand it is the tamasic ego that prevents him to gain the skill set. I'm just referring you. That will come after in the maybe the step 15 or the 16. So you see that the knowledge is the power that not only liberates you, but that knowledge from inside about the self helps you to pinpoint why I'm not able to do a particular thing, why I'm not able to do the certain aspects which help me in my professional, personal, social life. So, knowledge is ever present in the universe. Anyone who wants it gets it. Anyone who doesn't want it doesn't get it. And even after telling him that, look, this because you are attending online sessions, you are intelligent, you are an expert in your business. Why don't you allow your intellect and the mind to know the basics? I'm not saying that you should become a computer geek. Not interested. Very small tamasic ego will prevent you to reach to the highest because that impurity is present. So he has a wrong notion that, okay, I'm not able to do it, then what? My wife can do it. She is devoted to me. I'm not going to the extreme. You can think of it. The wife is not there. How can you can attend my sessions? So, very small impressions I create in my life. So, what is the goal? The seeker on the path never stops learning. Oh, I need that skill set because this is my profession. This is how it will help me in my family, professional, and social life, my personal life. I must learn the skill sets. This is one aspect, but I will use the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom to continue to discover wisdom is a revelation. It reveals state of these great masters and see the beauty of it. If I'm not mistaken, Vishwamitra perhaps was the master or I will correct it. Uh, so, one master, or simply say one master, in deeper meditation, the Gayatri mantra was revealed. You know, Gayatri mantra, Om Bhur Bhuvaswah Tat Saviturvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Then another master who was in meditation, the same Gayatri mantra was revealed. So this mantra was revealed in deep meditative state of more than 10 masters. That's a validation, that's a proof. One part. Why should we practice meditation? Not only we should purify the mind, not only we should reach to a state of equanimity, but we should reach to a state of deeper meditation where the knowledge reveals by itself. That is the goal. What is the ultimate goal of meditation? The knowledge of reality should be revealed. That is the goal. And there is a natural process. You are sitting in meditation and the knowledge is revealed. It takes the form of a thought or a principle, and that principles you find in the Eastern wisdom. That is what we are learning. So we are learning the knowledge of the self discovery coming from the Eastern wisdom. And these principles are written differently, expressed differently in Vedas, Upanishads. There is another subtext of the Veda, we say Samhita, and we also say the Smriti text like the Gita, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Sankhya Sutra, and lot of group of the text. Even a single mantra has been revealed to great masters again and again. So, what is the goal of our journey? Knowledge is inside. Why I'm doing meditation and treating the path? Knowledge of that reality reveals within me. So there are masters, the knowledge of reality revealed, and they realize that the moment I speak, it cannot give the knowledge as it is. So they kept quiet. They become silent monks. So there are hundreds of masters like this. So there are other masters. They took up a challenge. They said, yes, knowledge is revealed. Principle I know because I have practiced and I followed the path. They became the masters. Outside, they started speaking. So, like this, we do not know. The existence will ask us by the revelation of the knowledge that how we have to treat our path once we got an awakening. So there's two types of knowledge. Now go slowly. Two types of knowledge we should always remember. It is also known as Laukik and Alaukik. Laukik means the worldly knowledge. The worldly knowledge, skill sets. I must get the skill set. I must be ready to perform an action in the world outside. What is required in my profession, what is required in my society and the family. And alaukic knowledge, the knowledge beyond the world. So when I say knowledge of the world, we need to use senses, sense organs, mind, and the intellect. That's what you are using. Engineering, medicine, the worldly knowledge we gain a skill set, and we use that skill set in our profession, in our daily life. We don't know what kind of a skill set we need to lead a family life. So, in earlier days, that knowledge and the skill sets was given by the masters. You see that? You devote your life, first stage of the life, you devote for acquiring the knowledge of the self and the non self. So, knowledge of the non self also included the skill sets pertaining to the profession, skill sets pertaining to the family and the social life. How you have to live. What are the rules? Like driving, rules of the road, I have to remember. That is the knowledge. And the skill set of driving, I have to practice. So, Lockic and alaukic knowledge. So, alaukic knowledge, we always remember that knowledge is beyond the sense organs and the mind. And the other knowledge is used by the sense organs, and the take one example. Now the things becomes clear. Shreyas, you have already understood the Shreyas, what is right and good, applies to both the knowledge. Mind, if I keep my mind focused, committed to acquire the knowledge, what is right and good, so that all my actions will also be in harmony with the nature and the world outside. But then I should also understand the path of the prayers, what I like, what is pleasant to me. And if I use my both the knowledges for what I like, what is pleasant to me, it will make me fall into, it will create a pleasure seeking mind. And the pleasure seeking mind is always has a likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes will create more desire, attachment and detachment and delusion and the suffering. So these principle applies to both the category. Yes, this is another what happens when we apply this knowledge. Foundation of right knowledge about the self is very important. Very important. Foundation of the right knowledge. Why? Now the mind is not disturbed. The mind is, when the mind is confused, means that I don't have the right knowledge. The intellect will use that wrong knowledge, the wrong notion. So, what should be the state of the mind? What should be the state of the mind? We are just covering the first step. The first step, acquire the knowledge of the self and also the knowledge of the material world outside. But what should be the state of the mind? Krishna says, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjayah Siddha Asiddhayo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoguchati. Equanimity of the mind should be maintained. Look at it. I have acquired the knowledge? Yes. I gained the expertise? Yes. Is there any doubt inside? No. Let me apply it. So the mind lives in equanimity. It is not influenced by the inner challenges, conflicts, and confusion and jealousy in the mind, and it is also not influenced by the pressure, the challenges of the world outside. We are learning the first step, study and acquire the knowledge of the self and the non self. So we have to make a list of where I get upset in my profession, where I get confused in living my family life, what happens when I'm talking to my son and the daughter, what causes some confusion or conflict in the mind, and how to set it right. We should be clear about it. That is what Krishna says, that you are fixed in yoga. What it means, the mind is living in the state of equanimity and having abundant, having left. What you left? You left the prayers. So, what the prayers creates? Attachment and detachment, having equal in failure in the success. So, knowledge of the self means it keeps your mind in the state of economy. You hard work, no issue, focus on the work. The world, every action has results in pairs of opposites. You cannot deny it. You cannot reject it. You have success or failure, pain or pleasure, profit or loss, victory and defeat. For every action, we don't know. But if the mind is obsessed only for the results, then the equanimity of the mind is not there. So that is why we have to acquire the knowledge of both the worlds. I am using my skill sets. I am working hard. I am doing all my activities. I did it right. Thank God I did it right. Let me grateful to the existence and then wait. So that whatever the result comes, it is a reward to me. That keeps the mind in the state of equanimity. And that helps us to progress. That leads to awakening, realization, and transformation in our very life that we are living. Equanimity also means that I'm not dictated by likes and dislikes. You talk to the daughter says, hell with you, I don't want to talk to you. You did not fulfill my desire, but now you realize fulfillment of that desire continuously is not a good idea. So you hold on, you stop this, and let the time come when you explain it. So that is what is equanimity in daily living. It is the subset of the first step. Study and acquire the knowledge of the self and the non self. Instantly, the moment you have any issue in the family, professional, and social life, you invoke your intellect. Let me sit, close my eyes, ask myself, remind myself the path of the Shreyas, and then see the problem. And in the second step, we will understand how to apply that knowledge to minimize the impact of hatred, jealousy, likes, dislikes, pain, pleasure. We should not take a decision based on our whims, based on our ego. One beautiful woman in New Jersey, she works for a world famous jewelry store, and she bought a car for her young daughter. She was only 18 years old, going to the college. And one day the mother saw that the front and the back seat is burned by the cigarette because there were signature marks of the cigarette. So she had been my student for a couple of years and she called me. I'm totally upset. Can you come? I said, yes. Oh, it was 5 miles away from my New Jersey home. So I said, okay, let us go there. So I went there and she said, you see that? I will take the car. I will not pay for her education fees. So there comes the equanimity. Now you apply the equanimity here. So I said, how to guide her to the right path? I said, tell me, you pay me hardly a couple of $100 every month, and you paid almost $18,000 for the fees and another $10,000 for the car. Can you pay me that much amount? No. Why? Because she is my daughter, you are my teacher. I said, why? Because you are attached. You should have paid me much more than what you paid to your daughter. Because the knowledge that I'm giving you, will live with you and help you live in a harmonious life. Second point, do you love your daughter? Yes. So I said, keep your love and don't mix it with your ego that you paid that much money. That will not work. Ego and the love are two things apart. Because of the ego, you are saying that I will take the car back, I will not pay the fees because you have the resources. What should I do? I said, we all do the mistakes in our life. You might have done in your childhood. This is America. So, what should I do? I said, first, enter into the equanimity of mind. Then ask the intellect and do the right thing. The intellect says, I love my daughter, that's why I'm helping her. Very good. Keep that idea in your mind, keep that knowledge in the mind. And when she is calm, then you call her and talk to her. See that the wisdom should prevail. And they did it. It happened. No, no, I'm sorry, mom. It was happened. I had the hangover. I took a couple of beers and then I started smoking. I forgot that I should not have done it in the car. Finished. Done. So we should always keep the equanimity in the mind. Now, the way we gain the skill sets and expertise in any knowledge of the world, we should remember the knowledge of the self discovery or the Eastern wisdom. We should follow clearly these three steps. I don't know, let me know it. I don't understand, let me understand it. But then I should practice in order to experience that. With the two types of the knowledge. Which knowledge should we study first? So you see, the Masters is very clear for everything. So we have understood the two types of the knowledge. Which knowledge should be studied first? The knowledge of the self. I should be very clear. Now see that at the young age, you know that you are the real self. You have still to continue the path. You have still to discover. You have yet to discover that real self in your life. But still you know that my real nature is different from my body, mind, breath, intellect, and ego at that young age. And at the same time, you are full of energy to gain the skill sets in the world outside. What is going to happen? Uh, you know how to strike a balance. You will not allow the inner space to be filled with inner poverty. Forget about anxiety and stress and duality and a conflict. No, my real nature is this. You will remember. You'll be able to minimize those anxiety, stress, challenges, competition in the outer world. Look at it. So, the which knowledge should be gained first? It is very clear, the knowledge of the subjective reality, the knowledge of the self. And that knowledge of the self should guide the intellect and the mind, my sense organs, to gain the expertise also in the world outside. So you see subjective and the objective knowledge. Another guidance in the first step. We're still covering the first. In the first step, I should always move from inside to outside, not move from outside to inside. Example, your son is angry and upset. So the mind picks up that reaction. And then we are also reacting. We are also upset. We are moving from outside to inside. Now, the son in the second situation, his son is upset and angry. You are moving from inside to outside. You are moving from equanimity of the mind to face that anger, that wrath of your members of the family, or whatever is happening in your family, professional, and social life. See that. Going further in the first step, also, what to study and where to begin. Right knowledge should guide for right thinking, right speaking, and right action in daily life. Here comes a little trick, and it needs a lot of practices, and you have done those practices. What happens that I have understood intellectually, I have practiced, but past impressions that I carried forward in this birth triggers the mind to get upset, to react, to fight. That happens. Normally, that happens in the beginning, and that causes lot of problems and the challenges in my life. So I should guard myself. I should find out where my mind says I did not mean to react and fight and angry, and still I reacted. So I realized that this is coming from my past impressions, and that triggered the mind to react in this way. You should be ready to say sorry and to change that idea. So that gives us, that does not create and accumulates more impression, and that helps us to continue to treat the path that minimizes the impact of my stress and anxiety in my life. Another way to understand is the goal of life and goal in life. Now I have talked in detail. You see that? Before that, we learned very small things. Now we are learning systematically. Systematically structured and organized study of 40 steps how we can achieve the highest in meditation, or how we can discover ourselves. So we should always think goal of life, happiness, peace, love, and the wisdom. That's why I have a family life. That's why I have a professional life. Now see, you're coming from inside to outside. You're not moving the mind from outside to inside. If I have $1 million, I'll be happy. No. If I have two daughters, I'll be happy. If I have son and daughter, I'll be happy. No. You have to start with happiness and peace. You have to start with that happiness and peace, which comes from the equanimity of the mind. So that is our goal of life. Should be first. And from that goal of life inside, it should go to goals in life. So clear goal of life is only one, common: to secure, to discover permanent peace and happiness, to know myself, who am I. And goals in life are many: career, job, wealth, money, skill set, relationship, family, professional, social life, personal life. Now, coming to applying these steps, once I have gained it, at least even for 10 minutes. We are going to do that in practice. But even for 10 minutes, I must remember the goal of life, because we always remember goals in life. The mind is always outside. Tomorrow, I have to talk to this guy, and he will pay me $5,000 for the work that I have done. But we forget what is the goal. It happens. It's so natural to the mind, because the mind is already exposed outside. Huh? Isn't it? So natural. So even for 10 minutes, that is why these Shanti mantras were discovered. Asato ma satgamaya. Goal of life. See that. from the false to the truth, ultimately. What is false is apparent reality in the world. What is the truth, the ultimate reality? How to go about it? Mrit tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, moving from ignorance to wisdom, that incomplete knowledge, false identity with who am I has to be dropped to I have to live inside with my true identity. So any mantra should be done. I'll guide you in the future lessons that what are those. We will pick up this asatoma asatagamaya. Maybe Om Namah Shivaya. Just repeating Om Namah Shivaya will not work. So again, knowledge. First step is acquire the knowledge. We are not becoming a singer. So we don't know the meaning of Om Namah Shivaya. You can be a great singer. Everyone will follow you. So here the first step is the knowledge. I must know Om Namah Shivaya. Om is unmanifest Satchidanand. Namah means Nama, not me. When I'm not there, the Shiva manifests. Om Namah Shivaya. So I should keep that in mind. So when I'm doing Om Namah Shivaya, the time comes the moment you say one time, Om, mind goes to that knowledge, Satchidanand Namah. Mind goes to the knowledge, not I am. Then who is? Only Shiva. That is what the Om Namah Shivaya is. So I should live into that knowledge. To become a singer is one thing, and to become a seeker is other thing. When I come to you guys, and I see that our great friend says that he is doing a mantra for 3 hours, repeating it, but without meaning, without essence, it will not work. So people have been repeating the mantras for 30 years and 40 years without any change in their habit, attitude, personality. They are still living in the stress as long as they repeat the mantra, because it's a mental sound. Take it habitually. So until that period, the mind remains calm, but it does not give any result in the life. So the first thing that is very important. Anything before going to bed, after waking up, should be done. Or should you remember, the time will come, you wake up in the morning, you said once Om Namah Shivaya, because that knowledge is so much implanted in your mind. So saying once would be enough. I have seen my master when I used to go to him to touch his feet at around 3:30 or 4 a.m. in the morning, and he was sitting in meditation, and I could hear the whisper, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. And I asked him, why the hell you are doing it? You are Shiva. You are enlightened. He said, no, even if you are enlightened, you do it. Life is always full of action. Without action, you cannot live. So why not perform, continue to do that action? And you do the right action. You keep the right action that takes you to the self. Another point I have already cleared, but now I'm clearing the principle. Every mantra, every principle has to be understood according to Patanjali in 3 steps: Shabd, Arth, Gyan. You should be ready to ask the question to a teacher. You should not hesitate at all. So, 3 steps: word is Shabda, Arth is the meaning, and knowledge. For every principle, for every word, Om, word, meaning. It is all pervading consciousness, knowledge, Satchidanand, absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. Otherwise, Om is as useless as any other word. So we have to follow. That is very important. So at every step in the journey, the teacher in the Eastern wisdom encourages and inspires. Are you looking? Shabda Arth Jnana, that is one way. The second way is that the teacher does it. Teacher explains the principles. He customizes and personalizes through its expression. He gives the clarification so that there is doubt free knowledge. And gradually, our intellect picks up the same process. Uh, you explain in your mind, you remember. Any Om Krishna Namaha. So you say in your mind. Gradually, you explain it. You see how I should be doing the practice. That becomes a personalization and customization. So that also comes under uh, the first step. In early days when this tradition started, the master used to say, Asatoma Sat, he used to recite. Did you understand that recitation chanting? Yes. So he used to say that now recite. So there are some typical ways. There are 5 or 6 steps. Uh, if you follow those 5 and 6 steps, that takes us totally in a different direction. At this age, we need not to go there. But I'm just giving a reference. So there are 5 or 6 steps that you have to recite and sing these mantras in a particular way. What will happen? For about 2 or 3 weeks. What will happen after 3 weeks? You will never forget the mantra. You become the book. So in the beginning, when the written texts were not there, so the masters used to teach this. Forget about the meaning. First, you should know it. Where your house is located, what is that mantra? And then they used to go to meaning and the essence of that. That is the beauty. So I covered, and once we repeat it, we will cover again. Now come to the second step. What is the second step? And the second step, you see that is why in the first step we have every verses, shlokas, sutras are written. It has to be recited in a particular way. Mano buddhir ahankar chittani naham na cha shrotra jibhai na cha ghrana netre na cha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. So that mantra you say or that recitation comes at the level of practice. Or you have done the practice, now you are reciting, I am not the body and the breath, I am not the 5 elements, I am none of these 5 sense organs and the 5 motor organs. So, in that meditative state, then who am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that Shiva Satchidananda. So that knowledge strikes, and the mind says, I got it, I know it. Coming to the second step, know the duties and responsibilities and perform them consciously in daily, professional, social life. We'll go little. That is the topic. Knowledge learned is applied. Knowledge learnt in the first step. Now the time has come to apply this knowledge by performing an action. Knowledge applied is the knowledge realized. Knowledge applied, whether you apply your skill sets in the professional world, we get a fruit of an action. But there is a danger of working habitually and mechanically, as mind may change its objective. Oh, everyone is praising me, appreciating me. I did it. So that builds our ego. So, two problems are there. The mind is guided by the results of an action, and the mind builds the ego. So, when it is constantly running after the results of an action, then what happens? I'm attached to a particular work. So, fruits of an action and building our ego, craving from fruits. What will happen if the mind continues to have that ego and building the craving for the fruits of an action? That is what we learned as far as the sexual pleasure is concerned. It comes from the animal mind. Fruits of an action. Oh, I forgot myself in that pleasure. Let me go it again. Let me go it. Let me go it. But we already discussed one unit of pleasure. How many times we had a pleasure? Maybe 1,000 times. Do you have 1,000 units of pleasure? No. That is the result of fruits of an action. Ultimately, the fruits of an action is not there. But then what is there? Now you don't love me, honey. Now you have another problem. You create an so two element. For every karma, the mind instantly looking for fruits of an action and builds the ego, identifies with that action. But when these two things constantly present in the mind, what is going to happen? It makes the mind impure. The mind is already obsessed with that idea. You wake up in the morning, you have these two thoughts pertaining to every action. You see that pertaining to every action. You fought with your honey last week, that continues even this week because of seeking the fruits of an action and because of the ego. I did so many things with the same women. I did a lot of things to my daughter, and how dare she is. So I have a natural animal reaction. I will take everything from her, let her go anywhere. So you are starting a conflict. You started your karma with a right note, with a good note, and results in reaction, anger, hatred, jealousy, fighting, violence, crime. So, this is what the second step is, knowing the duties and the responsibilities and perform them consciously. So, what we are doing, karma yoga and the jnana yoga. We are adding karma yoga and the jnana yoga. So, now the master poses a challenge. Let me perform all the karma that should help me to purify the mind rather than make the mind impure. A big challenge, but not a big challenge once we understand. You see that? So the master hits directly. It makes your mind impure. Let us purify the mind by the same action. How? That is what we are learning. So the step two helps us to live, work, and guide us with a tremendous focus on the work for the sake of the work. What is the work? I have to guide my daughter today. I realize that she is going in a wrong way. So I should focus on that knowledge only. I should not get carried away by the right or the wrong attitude of the daughter. I should keep talking to her in equanimity of the mind. I will repeat the same thing again and again, even if she is upset, even, and one day it will happen. She will realize what she will realize, that you are not reacting. You are not upset even if she has done something wrong. For example, even if she has, but you are repeat. So her, because she also has the real self in her, so that real self will pass through the intellect and the mind and will realize my dad has never became angry, never reacted, never pushed me on anything. So when I push, I'm asking a result. I have a desire for the, I have a fruits, desire for the fruits of an action. Or I have an ego. Why don't you listen to me? I'm dad. So you remove those two crazy stuff from your mind. You focus on that activity through your thinking, through your. No, no, dad, honey, think of it. You need not to follow what I say, but think of it. Let us together discuss what is right and what is good in your life that will help you to make your life better. Just think of it. Just think and contemplate. We are encouraging, we are, and so this is one example. So we our tremendous focus is on what is on the work. The action outside in the world should develop the will inside my mind. I'm making it simpler gradually. Once we understand these principles, there should be a tremendous will in the mind to follow what is right and good. You have done something wrong. So, should I start blaming, complaining, and reacting against you? Or should I follow what is right and good? That is what. So, when we focus on that, when we discover the right ways and means of working and acting in the world, we start removing the ignorance and impurities and replace our action guided by the wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is applied knowledge. The entire life becomes a celebration. Now, we should understand every karma, every action before we get this knowledge. Otherwise, every action is guided by avidya, means ignorance. And that ignorance leads to desire. Desire leads to an action. Now think of it: ignorance, desire, action. Replace it. Avidya to vidya, knowledge. Desire, drop it. Focus on the karma. And that karma becomes the play and the fun. We start playing our role in the world like a Hollywood actor. And he gets an Oscar award. We get an Oscar award and deeply absorbed, living in the state of equanimity. And we continue our journey too. And it what happens? It breaks the law of karma. If you replace ignorance with the wisdom, desire for the fruits of an action with the focus on the karma, it will lead to the freedom from the law of the karma. Let us go directly to the main topic. Other aspects we will take up. Yes, take up in a detail later. So just take it. The master says there are five types of karma. First two types of karma must be done, should be done. If you do it, you don't get any reward. But if you don't do it, you are punished. What is that punishment? Your mind becomes impure. So, first understand the five types of the karma. The first karma is known as Nitya karma. Nitya karma means those activities, those actions should be done They need to be done. Going to the restroom, eating your food, take an example. They must be done. If you don't get it, you are punished. If you do it, you don't get any reward. So now I have started doing this Nitya Karma daily without fail. What comes under Nitya Karma? Mantra also chanting. Mantra chanting early in the morning, remembering the two types of the knowledge, the self and the non self. And my whole life is dedicated and committed to the discovery of the self without disturbing any activities outside. So, Nitya Karma. Nitya means daily. Nitya Karma are those karmas that is performed daily because they are prescribed karma. We say prescription, like the prescription drug. Means they are duties and responsibilities of a person depending on the condition, family, relationship, profession, external factors. You are father. What is your duty and responsibilities towards your children? It should be done. That is what I taught to that women. I did nothing. I said, your duty and responsibility, it should be done. In not inviting any reaction, anxiety, anger, duality, conflict. That must be done. Now, if you do it with reaction, you are punished with anxiety, reaction, duality, conflict, hatred. You go to hell. I don't like you. Leave my house. See that. Nitya karma must be done. So, check out the duties and the responsibilities as a father, as an employer, as a husband, as a son. The different roles and the duties. But you have to. The moment you are before your daughter, you are a father. Remember, I have to play a role of my father. I have to play a role of my husband. I have to play a role of my employer. Finished. Once it is done, so you are focused on the karma, done, finished. That becomes a play and fun in your life. The second, we'll spend another 15 minutes, and the other two part we will take later. So, Nemitya karma. Nemitya karma means occasional duties. I have one student, Samir. Sometimes you get that intuitive feeling and the wisdom directly, but it is guided by the anxiety reaction and the desire for fruits of action. So he told me, sir, after all, we are obliged to attend the marriage ceremonies and other functions of our relations and friend. If we not attend, they will also not attend our function. So occasional duties means you are performing occasional duties of attending marriage, birth, ceremony, other events of your friends, family, relations, not with an idea that they will also not attend. So I clarified him. You need not to worry about it. They are occasional duties. They must be done. Nobody celebrates the birthday every day. And the guy is a good friend of yours. Go there if you can go. But you must remind, you must understand. So these comes under occasional duties. Or someone dies. Another guy who called me, my mom died and you have to come and give a talk. So his mind was really focused on the self. But at the same time, he said, no, no, sir, I don't believe in those monks and who will come and you have to guide. I said, okay, I will come. Occasional duties. Occasional duties. Now, the third type of the karma that is known as kamya karma. Kamya karma. Kamya karma means action done with the craving in the mind, desire for the fruits of an action. So every time I must become aware that this karma, I should push it into the Nitya Naimitya karma one. I should not perform the Kamya karma two. How to do it? I should focus on the karma alone. I should leave the desire for fruits of an action, and I should leave that ego behind it. Third kind of the karma. I'll give you a detailed explanation later. Uh, fourth is Nishiddha karma. Nishiddha karma means prohibited karma. Now see that if you do the first two types of karma, you don't get any reward. But you should be doing it. You must be done. But if you don't do it, you are punished. Your mind is now see that. Be clear about it. If you do karmic karma, the mind will become more and more and more impure, and impurity will accumulate there. So I have not to do that karmic karma. It does not mean I'm not going to the office, I'm not earning money, I'm not living a family professional, doing everything outside. But inner, that wisdom, that point of action, the focus of the action, the center of the action has changed completely. Are you getting it? That is what the karmika. Nishadha karma is prohibited karma. The karma should not be done at any cost. And if it is done, then we have to repent it. We have to do some other karmas to remove the impact of the prohibited karma at all cost. One example you can find out prohibited karma, which is totally prohibited. Driving with the drinking, one example, prohibited. So it is prohibited, very clear, but and the other prohibited karma is that, oh, just wake up in the morning, start blaming, complaining, and reacting to the world, the family, everyone in the life. Prohibited karma. So, like this, you have to understand and think over it. What are the prohibited karmas? Are you doing it? If you have done it, you have to rethink, you have to repent, you have to replace it with something. Say you have slapped your daughter once. No, down, that is prohibited karma. Example. Example. So now you are mindful, you are guided, your karma is guided by wisdom, the knowledge. So briefly, I covered this, and let us discuss if you have some